of tanks. My name is Randall Rukill Holcomb, and I'm joined by Ben, Mr. Bitter Nickel. We will be bringing you the relegation matches between Season 2 and Season 3. It's been a good long week and a little bit more since our season finals in Las Vegas, and I feel refreshed and recovered. How do you feel, Ben?
I feel, you know, it's weird because we're in that place between working really hard and going home for Christmas. So I identity crisis. I don't really know how I'm feeling right now. It's like I'm excited to be here at the desk, getting ready to cast some World of Tanks games, and you see some of the new hotness coming up, and some of the old and busted going down, or sticking around. But it's weird. I'm conflicted, Randall. I'm very conflicted right now.
It's going to be hard to see who's going to go, and there's going to be some very tight matches. And speaking of tonight's matches, our first match tonight will be Game Over from Season 2, being relegated against High Voltage, who are coming up from the major leagues.
No longer known as High Voltage, by the way.
Yeah, their new name is Penguin Mafia.
Which is a much better name, quite frankly.
It's very good.
I like the thought of a tuxedoed penguin paying a visit with a piano wire to somebody.
Well, they're already wearing tuxedos. So, are they wearing another tuxedo on top of that tuxedo because they're in the Mafia? Are they that classy?
No, it's just a penguin with a bow tie, man.
Okay.
And a piano wire.
That's scary. I remember seeing a picture earlier today, some guy in a suit trying to shake hands with a penguin. I just imagine that's a scary penguin. But for our next match of tonight, we will have No Limit versus Vorbildline. Vorbildline moving up from the majors.
They've tried a few times to make it into the league. We might remember that name from previous qualifiers, previous relegations like these. Thus far, they've been unsuccessful, but once again, here they stand, and maybe this will be the season. 'Tis the season to be qualifying.
Well, they did make it almost last time.
Christmas joke.
Yes, probably. Well, after them will be Wreak Havoc against Refuse to Die. And just like Vorbildline, we've seen Refuse to Die before. They are actually in Season 1.
You know, Refuse to Die is like, for me, I like to call them a fan favorite team, because you
gotta love them.
I'm a fan of them. You know, they've got that history. They were in the first season of the WGLNA, knocked out at the end of that, and did not manage to win in their relegations in Season 2, but played just dominant in the majors, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they've done fairly well. They're here now.
Yep,
every team here.
And they've got their chance, you know. And I think of that group of guys, very hardworking, easy to cheer for group of guys with the right kinds of attitudes. And I would love to see them back in the WGLNA, because I think they're the kind of folks that you want to build an esport around.
Yep. And then after them will be Cazadores, it's really surprising. No one would have thought that Cazadores would be relegated out against Turtle Police.
Yeah. So it's okay. So on paper, that's not going to take too long for the Cazadores to finish. Now, I don't want to be hard on the Turtle Police, but if we look at the Cazadores, this is a team that is sometimes just the best team playing on the North America server. Sometimes they are that good. We've talked to the Fulcrum Gaming guys. They practice sometimes the Cazadores. Well, I don't know. We can't really beat the Cazadores when they're on their A game. The problem with the Cazadores is when they're not on that A game, because it's either A or F, and very little in between. So if the A game shows up today, Turtle Police is in trouble. I would, if Cazadores is A or F, I would say Turtle Police kind of hovers around that C+ range.
Well, Cazadores has been getting better and better. They've been a little bit more consistent in this second season. I like the way they were playing. We'll have to see if they've continued to improve. It's got to be demoralizing going through 2 seasons and just being beat up so constantly. So my bet would be on Cazadores, though. They definitely are a great team and great name.
I will take that bet.
Yeah.
I will bet on the Turtle Police, because it's better to bet and lose than not to bet at all.
Speaking of betting, are we going to have betting today in chat? I believe so.
We sure are.
All right. So
you guys will have a chance to cast your votes for who you think is going to win before each game goes live. So look forward to that. Maybe we'll give away something cool at the end of this qualifier week. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a fancy tank?
I think we're giving away a Tier 8 premium tank. Yeah, one that is available in the stores. But I believe the winner will get their own choice of that tank.
Ooh.
Yes. But going back to our games, Ben, we have to mention our 7x42 rules. And in order to explain those rules, we actually have on the desk Andre Gritor Pengshua. Welcome, Andre.
And welcomed after you guys have asked how are you, what you think of the whole finals, everything like that.
We brought you here
I can
to
clearly
talk
see
about the rules, Andre. We don't care about all those other things. Just tell us the rules so that we can get on with the show.
7 by 42 is 7 players by 42 tiers, with the top tier point being 8 tiers. Normally it's 5 tier 8s and 2 tier 1s. A winner is declared if you capture the flag or if you destroy all your opponent's enemy tanks. There can be a draw rule, and if a series goes into a draw, we will see a shootout. Still, 7 by 42 format, we line up a Malnovka and basically let them go at it. The winner will be decided whoever wins at the end by killing the rest of the tanks. Thank you, everybody. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Andre.
I think so. Now we can ask the question. How are you, Andre? We haven't heard from you in a while. We went to the finals. You were there, and then there was nothing.
I'm just terrible, but thanks for asking. That is all. Back to you.
Thank you, Andre. I believe that does it for our pregame show. We'll be right back after a short break, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone. I promised Clutch I promised Ben I would start this off as a pirate, but I didn't believe him, so I haven't done it.
Yargy matey, welcome back to the WGLNA. We have many of games for you. Arr!
Well done, Andre.
Thank you, Andre.
Well
Andre,
done,
you were brave. I could not have done that.
How is it?
I didn't believe Ben, so I
Wait,
just didn't do
there
it.
was nothing to believe.
There was nothing to believe. You just go.
I just said come back as a pirate. This is like I don't believe you. What? I didn't make a statement.
He said I said you should come back with your greatest Southern accent.
But I'm from the South.
No,
It's everything that
this
I
is
say.
your neutral accent. Well, our first match will be.
Well,
Game
how about
over
this?
Versus.
You go ahead and introduce the players as a pirate,
I'll introduce.
and then Ben
Uh-huh.
will introduce. We'll talk for maybe like a good 30 seconds as. Let's do a Russian.
Russian. Okay, I can do this.
Okay.
Yar. Yar,
So,
right.
so we'll just introduce the players when we're in game. That's all. Anyway.
We could have just gone from right then.
Oh, man.
I think Ben was all prepped to be Russian and everything.
I was ready to go.
Okay,
Yeah.
ready? Go.
Yar. So we're about to start our first match, and here we go into game.
Oh, the game
It's
is
go-
starting
it-
now. It looks like we play the map cliff.
Duh. It'll be the Penguin Mafia versus Game Over. So.
I love Criff.
No, no, stop it.
Yar. As the battle time
Okay.
starts out, let's get into Cliff.
No, we're ending this right now before something terrible happens. Oh gosh, it's relegation, guys. We're getting ready for season 3, which means we're having a little bit of fun, keeping it a little bit loose. Of course, holidays are upon us, and it looks like our first game is now underway. So what's happening here, boss?
Well, we've got a T-32, a Pershing, and 3 1390s. For the side of, and I'm going to have to check this, that looks like it's going to be Penguin Mafia. And on the other side, in the red, we're going to have a T-69 and 4 1390s.
Fantastic. Those 1390s, of course, being utilized for their excellent speed and mobility, their, frankly, obscene ability to lay down lots and lots of heavy burst damage. And also, they're pretty good for just spotting things out. They got that excellent view range. They're great all-around fast mobile tanks.
You just got to worry about the fact that you don't have any armor whatsoever. Even T1s can pen 1390s, and very important to the early game, especially in Cliff.
I absolutely agree with you there, Randall. As right now we are looking over the shoulder of Drac Hero, who has a little bit of vision granted by his teammates, but no real line of fire. There are shots going down. That's bolt upright on the big damage.
Yeah, and he's gone down to 807 hit points. He's just getting focused out, being far too slow. in his T-32, and this is a common problem. He's down to already 50, and there he goes, first kill. Whoa, wow, Extreme actually went down. When was that?
Look at this positioning from Gandorfo coming over the hill. He's got 2 tanks in his crosshairs, terrible, and Death warmed over, both forced to get the hell out of there. This T-69, even though it only has 4 shots in its autoloader canister, able to deal a ton of damage, and Drakiro's going to push forward as well, and a lot of tanks going down very early here for the Penguin Mafia.
Yeah, but I'm loving the position for Penguin Mafia. They have a decent surround on the position of game over, and as Death Warm over, it does look like he's going to take out Gigmaster in the T1, although this actually might come to bite him in a moment. Other members of his team, Penguin Mafia, are moving east to engage game over.
Oh, Blaze Zero, and who is that? That's Quick Death down there, both in the crosshairs of Tanking Daka right now. Great shots laid down by Tanking Daka. Blaze Zero looks like he may go down. That Pershing just being shredded under this 1390 fire that we talked about. Excellent burst damage, 6 shots in that canister, and
oh, Blaze is down to 4 hit points. As Quick Death actually just goes right at Tanking Daka, but Gandorfo is there with a great crossfire, taking him down. Now Blaze Zero is left alone, and Death Warmed Over is going to be warmed over in just a moment by Drag
Tanking
Hero.
Daka misses the shot on Blaze Zero, so that 4 health Pershing is going to chase away this 1390. He has to be clipping, and that is bad news. The real question, though, is can Blaze Zero really even take something as simple as a ram? Gandorfo is going to go ahead and push forward in his T-69. 4 hit points is no big deal.
As Tanking Daka comes in for the ram,
boom,
yes!
Down goes the last Tier 8 tank for Penguin Mafia. Only Rox remains, and it is going to be very difficult for him to make anything happen.
Yeah, that was well played by Penguin Mafia. They had a great early start to this, but game over just stayed focused throughout that fight, getting the right tanks down, and I feel like splitting between Penguin Mafia was really what really hurt them. Wow, Rafa Beta's on fire.
Rams and kills himself. Of course, there was no coming back there for Penguin Mafia. Game over, draws first blood, and goes up 1-0 in this best-of-5 series.
It's very well played. Andre, what did you think of that battle?
I thought it just came down to game over having better tanking skills. There's one critical 1390 when he was going for that T1 all the way on the east side. That was honestly the turning point, even the deciding factor right there, because you have an overmatch going on in the center. There was just better tanking. The Pershing had good, I thought, position overall, but he got gunned down from multiple angles, so kind of negated that hull down that he had. But still, when it came down to it, I felt like it was just better tanking overall from game over, even though they were behind. They lost a tier 8 tank very quickly right off the bat, so it really shows you just the strength and the cohesion of this team.
Welcome back. We're about to head into Himmelsdorf, and as players ready up tanks, we are looking at some IS-3s and 5100s.
Yep, that's really all we expect to see on Himmelsdorf 5100s. A big, beefy damage dealer like the 1390 has a big clip, can pump out a ton of damage in a very short amount of time. Then it takes like 40 seconds to reload. So you better kill whatever it is you're shooting at before you run out of shots. And of course the IS-3s, the frontline fighters, the real meat and potatoes of that army, because not only do they have the hit points, they also have the armor, can bounce a lot of shots, and will most likely be leading whatever charges we do ultimately end up seeing here.
Yeah, although the front isn't, the Shuka is wonderful in the IS-3, I have to say. It's a great little bit of armor, great innovation for the Russians, but I feel like the spaced armor on the sides is really what makes the IS-3 on maps like Himmelsdorf, where engagements are going to be somewhere around 200, 300 meters on average, which is very different from most other maps that we see.
Now, am I mistaken, or was the IS-3, did it recently receive a small nerf?
Some say it's a nerf. It was really just a model was redone. That's really what we can say about it. But we are about to head off into Himmelsdorf. So, game number 2 versus Penguin Mafia versus game over.
All right, guys, here we go. Looking at the tank lineups. Exactly what we were talking about, 5100s and IS-3s. The real difference here being that Penguin Mafia is running more IS-3s and Game Over running more 5100s. So ultimately, this translates to a more scary, spiky damage-dealing lineup for Game Over versus a more robust, maybe spongy army here for the Penguin Mafia. What will happen in the end, though? Well, it's obviously much too soon to say.
Yeah, although it is interesting to see a 1390. That's just a strange tank for this map. It's we see it, I think, probably because of the new team battles. Team battles being just, you get any random map with a 742 lineup, so you have to bring a lineup which could work on any map. And I feel like maybe that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing a lineup that's designed from Penguin Mafia for the team battles, but it might not be, you know, perfect or all that applicable here, because if that 1390 runs into a 5100, he's not going to win that fight, not unless he can get the jump on him, and that's possible. But a light tank on Himmelsdorf is generally considered inferior to the heavy tanks, which are just going to be able to bully them around.
Got a very defensive setup here from both sides. Neither team willing to make any kind of real early game thrust. Rafa Beta in that little T1 Cunningham is inching forward ever so slowly down this 1-2 line in what we call the rail yard. He's trying to identify whether or not there's anything over here. Now, what we know, based off of what we've seen on the other side of the map, is there is something over there, but it's just another little T1. So if he makes that spot and sees, okay, there's a T1 there, but really nothing else, that will probably trigger a bit of a commitment.
Yeah, we'll expect to see a reaction based on some kind of spotting. Now, loose change from the side of Penguin Mafia is in the north, kind of close to the rail yard, but he's really on the 3 line, and he's not going to be able to spot the T1 out of game over until he gets maybe to C1 or D1. And the view range on a T1 Cunningham is pretty small already, so he might even be able to slip by on the 1 line without getting spotted at all.
Rafa Beta going to try to make this spot, looking to see that little T1 on the corner. Poked out, saw nothing, and still no movement out of anybody. Both teams doing their damnedest to try and locate, hey, where's the other team? At this point, they have to be maybe suspecting that there is some kind of a hill play in effect, but no confirmation coming from either side just yet.
Yeah, Terrible X in the 1390 is scouting the hill. He's figured out no one's actually come up here, so he started doing a few little loops.
And there's the first spot, loose change. That T1 has been seen, and still not a whole lot of movement. One heavy tank coming up here behind Rafa Beta. That's going to be NIP 100. Now he's pushing forward in his AMX 5100. Honestly, quite fast for a big heavy tank, and represents some serious damage threat, but there's just nothing out here for him to try and kill.
Pretty sick, though. This is a trap that they're trying to play. They have the 150-100 going up the west side. Look at where everybody else is. They're actually sitting in the south side all the way, anticipating as soon as that 5100 is spotted by loose change that there's going to be a big flag cap. Hopefully they can get the better draw and defending, and the 5100, as you said, Ben, he can just run away. He's pretty fast for a heavy tank.
Rafa Beta is still doing a lot of work trying to say, hey, where are you guys? What's going on here? And the fact of the matter is the Penguin Mafia is nowhere to be seen. Game Over is
on
honestly,
the opposite side of the map.
They're on the verge of initiating what could turn into a pretty fast cap.
And on the opposite side, you know, Penguin Mafia and Game Over, we might see both of them go for the opponent's cap with, I'm not sure there's much even in the area.
There's no one even spotting for Game Over back at home, so they've committed everything to this capture attempt. So these teams are basically going to avoid each other accidentally, and will race to see who can capture first.
The advantage goes with the T1s on the red team. Of course, Game Over, because they don't have to go up a hill. Yes, they'll go down a hill, but going up a hill takes a long, long time. So getting the T1s mobilized onto a cap is going to be much better for Game Over. I feel like they're in a better position, even though both teams are pretty
might not matter though. Oh, there is spotting that's happening.
There's the spot. That would mean that a cap is going to start right now, probably for both sides. We see Penguin Mafia actually hitting the brakes, not knowing whether or not the enemy team is waiting to kind of trap them here, which means that Game Over is in a perfect position. Wait, what? Game Over sending 3 tanks back, so they're gonna try to pick a fight. They're not gonna leave it up to chance. They're not gonna try and take the cap and risk a draw. They're going to start the cap, and then they're going to screen the cap.
Hopefully they'll screen the cap. The position that I see out of Game Over is fairly far back, so we might actually be able to see Terrible X. Yes, he does make it up the banana, and he may make it all the way back to base completely unmolested.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get back for free, although he does hold himself up.
Rafa Beta is in trouble. Obviously, there's plenty of time for that 1390 to get home and stop Cap. And I cannot help but feel like Game Over misplayed this. They were in a perfect position to fast Cap, to just take the win. And now, it ain't going to happen. There's going to have to be a big fight somewhere.
Yep. And Loose Changed has gone back to fight Rafa Beta, T1 squaring off. And Rafa Beta will win. That will mean Cap will continue on the blue side. 1390 will have to come back in order to complete Cap.
And he will, of course, easily be able to deny this Cap, but it's still going to mean that he is out of the fight. The fight, which is beginning to unfold on the other side of the map.
And it is right on the corner of wonderful flank coming in from Game Over. Concave, that's going to be brutal if it can't be dealt with quickly, as their focus down is Henrique Dante. But then there are more hits going into quick death. He will go down quickly as 532, 235, one more shot. Yes, he will go down, but Raw X, Death Warmed Over, Bolt Upright have broken out of the surround.
Some great driving from Tanking Daka, sponging some huge shots, positioning his tank just brilliantly, and just like that, Game Over turns this game on its head, and they're going to win the fight. They're going to take the map.
Very well played. It was a wonderful attempt to try and break out, but it looks like they took too much damage just trying to get out of that surrounded position. Wonderful concave by Game Over. That is exactly how you approach that situation.
Tanking Daka does go down, but there are 3, count them, AMX 5100s still alive, and they all represent some serious hurt. That said, they're probably all clipping, which means that they don't want to fight right this second, but with 3 tanks to 2 5100s against a 1390 and an IS-3, I think it's easy to say that Game Over has a significant firepower advantage.
Yeah, there's no way this IS-3 should be able to bring this back. 1390 could play a really clever game and maybe do it, but these 5100s are untouched, completely unscathed. Just not enough damage going out on 5100s. It was an interesting choice for Penguin Mafia to focus those IS-3s.
Oh man, there's the spots. So now the AMX 5100s of Game Over knows exactly where their opponents are. Shots are ringing out. Who's taking them is the real question. Oh, now it's going to be Gandorfo getting in the mix, and he picks up the kill. That means that Terrible X, the lone AMX 1390, the last man standing, is going to have to either capture the flag or kill 3 5100s, which would be a miraculous feat indeed.
He can still go for flag resets. If he positions himself over the hill right now, maybe he gets some shots as they're passing through the courtyard, and then from there, he's able to actually do some damage as soon as they go for cap. There's 1 minute 55 seconds left, so he does need to do something very quick as Blue Base is under attack with 2. I don't think 44 seconds is enough for a 1390 to get all the way back to cap.
Yeah,
so.
and with a 3rd tank on the, well, that doesn't actually change anything. Oh, there it goes, 20 seconds left. Just a matter of time before this becomes a 2-0 advantage for Game Over. Guys, this is a best of 5. Penguin Mafia is going to have their back up against it. They've got to win 3 in a row now if they want to have a chance to qualify for the WGL North America. 3, 2, 1, and base has been captured. Game Over goes up 2-0.
So well played by Game Over. They responded to that cap fast perfectly. Just very well done. Anything enough. They really can't bring it to him like
I'm
that.
not ready to call it strong. I mean, anybody can sit behind a rock and say, I'm going to defend the flag. It's more just stubborn, if anything. Playing for the draw is far, far different from playing to win, and it does not look like Penguin Mafia is playing to win right now.
Well, they're hoping, I guess, for that shootout, which will be their only way to actually make it into WGLNA Season 3 at this point. Game Over, though,
that Waffle
needs it one.
is a gas-efficient tank. I don't think he has moved all game long. He loves that bush, and he's all out of diesel fuel.
Well, and he's got his waffles, he's got his bacon strips, so he's good to go.
Looks like another Penguin Mafia tank gets blasted. But Gandorfo also going down. Last 5 seconds will tick off, and this will be, of course, a draw.
That will bring it to 2, 0, and 1 between Penguin Mafia and Game Over. Anything you guys thought was particularly exciting about that or interesting about the way they lined that up, Andre?
I'll let you answer that for me, Rukel.
All right. I'll answer as Penguin Mafia didn't really do much, but we had an interesting attempt by Game Over, a bit late, I'd say. They probably could have started that
I
sooner.
don't think it was late. They were
Yeah.
always moving. They never actually stopped moving, looking for openings constantly. It just happened to be that Penguin Mafia had tanks in positions, and Game Over was not willing to take a huge risk unnecessarily. Why risk it when they're in the winning position? They're up 2-0 as we go into the last period of play, and it's virtually impossible for them to lose at this point. It would require Penguin Mafia to win the next 2 maps and then also win in a shootout. So Game Over, I think, playing very well, and I think Nip is playing phenomenally. That AMX 1390 play, just excellent, dealing a lot of damage, and more importantly, doing some great spotting.
I think one thing I can stress, though, is the emphasis on T1s. Just think in that position. Let's say if there was a big push, Game Over onto Penguin Mafia, where they kept doing it. What do you think the equity would be on that? Maybe you win 1 out of every 10 times, so you're 1-9. Not that great. But let's have the scenario where we have a T1 alive. If we stick a T1 in a corner and we do that, yeah, we only have a 10% chance of winning, but we still have a chance. From there, they can't really push on, because if they lose all their tanks, it's straight up they die. So I think Game Over definitely needed a T1. It just shows the emphasis. Yeah, a couple of unfortunate things happened in the beginning. That happens, but it really should stress the fact that the way you break up these defensive teams these days is by going into them at the last seconds, knowing that the worst you can do is draw. You have a T1 in the corner. Just go for it. If you win one out of those 9 times, it's still going to be worth it.
Or alternatively, you can sack your T1s to begin an engagement at your own advantage. You can take that shot from the Waffle Tiger with a T1. It's a lot of damage. It's waiting to reload for a little bit, and also allows you to get spotting maybe on certain tanks at range, so you can maybe snipe down a tier 8, then be in that advantage.
That's a little bit gimmicky, though. I don't think a Waffle will ever take out a T1 as priority, even if they're putting pressure on them. If your Waffle is alone, you have a big problem as it is. If you're being caught off guard with 2 T1s, you're doing it wrong as it is, and you're going to lose regardless.
Yeah, but how else are you going to begin an engagement that's so risky? You can sack that T1, bring him in first, get some great spotting, then get that health advantage. I mean, it gets T32s,
as soon as there's
5100s.
a 1390 out there against a 5100, you have the immediate plus 300 hit points, and then you have on top of that 2 more shells that you can use on other rather than just 1. So you can use those 5100 shells. Normally it's not correct to use them against those T1s, but in that case, you are able to use 5100s because of how heavy your lineup is.
No. Either way, guys, we do have to throw it to a very short break. When we get back, the 4th and potentially final map in this first Best of 5 series.
Welcome back to Relegations, and we are going to be in battle number 4 between Penguin Mafia and Game Over. We just got out of a draw on Steps. We're going to be heading into Ruinberg next.
That's exactly right, Ruinberg. Another map that has historically played out kind of slowly. There are certainly play styles and strategies that do allow for lots of action and excitement. We saw some of that at the Season 2 finals in Las Vegas just a few short weeks ago. But after watching how the Panda Mafia, the Penguin Mafia, the Pterodactyl Mafia, whatever P-word animal you want to call them, after watching how they played out their previous map, I'm a little bit hesitant to think that this one's going to be a whole lot different.
I think it'll probably be something like what we saw on Himmelsdorf with that 1390 again. That same lineup, that same approach. It's a strange approach. It's very mobile, but it's a really weird thing to spring to a heavy map like this.
Well, we can speak a little bit to the tanks that are going to be coming out, and specifically for Penguin Mafia. There is a 1390. There's also an Object 416, an interesting tank that we can talk a little bit about once we get in the game. A couple of 5100s, a single IS-3. Over on the Game Over side, it's 5100s, a single T69, and an AMX 1390. And I'm frankly a little bit unsure why they're bringing a T69 here. Maybe it's just something that Tanking Daka feels very comfortable in.
They're just going all autoloaders here, as opposed to Penguin Mafia's decision to kind of bring some consistent fire. So they want to win in that initial engagement. That's what's going to happen. They're going to get that initial engagement, and they want to just wipe the floor with Penguin Mafia. After that, they're expecting to be able to just kind of walk away and be able to have such a hit point advantage that when they return with a reload, they're just going to clean up.
Well, Into the game we go, and we can see that there is already a bit of an aggressive push coming from Game Over, something that we've seen a lot of. And this time, Penguin Mafia is also pushing towards the middle of the map. First spot's already going down. Terrible X in that 1390 at risk of getting lit up, but does manage to duck behind that ridge line and takes no shots from either of the 5100s that were bearing down on him. So now that the team.
But Terrible X returning for another spot, and Drac Hero at the same time. He will spot out Tanking Daka, though. Tanking Daka and Extreme have been spotted out. That indicates Penguin Mafia now knows. They know the position of Game Over. But does Game Over know about this east side movement of Penguin Mafia?
It's obviously not. They've only seen Terrible X at this point. Rafa Beta, who honestly I've really liked his T1 driving all game long. Always in front of the charge, is going ahead, pushing forward, and he's not the one getting the spots. We see Terrible X and Blaze Zero both getting lit up. Now there's a third tank lit up. That time it was Rafa baiting, spotting the 5100. So we can say for sure now that both teams know where their opponents are positioned. It's just a matter of when and where the firefight's going to unfold.
A bolt upright will back off after getting spotted. It looks like we're going to see maybe some kind of very far east zero line push out of Penguin Mafia. On the other side, maybe, actually it looks like the same thing out of Game Over. So both teams are probably going to clash with T1s on the west side for Penguin Mafia. Don't forget about those T1s. They're very important. They will be able to put on cap pressure, but we can't forget there's 1390s also kind of duking out in a bit of a scout fight. They're going to try and spot each other and have allies do the damage, and it looks like Blaze Zero has actually landed quite a few shells, taking Drac Hero down to a very sensitive
large
position.
Amount of hit points.
He's
only taken one real shot, 853 hit points out of 1100. Obviously, it's one shot closer to death. The more important story is that Object 416 losing half of his hit points. Gandorfo also taking fire in that AMX 5100, but he will return fire. But he's going to go down, bolt upright with the kill. That's some very nice shooting there out of him. But look at the push from Game Over. They want to end this. They want to end it right now. Nip, who has just been phenomenal this whole series, has Rox in his crosshairs, and Rox will fall. Yes, he does go down. Nip now onto Bolt Upright, will continue firing on that AMX 5100 autoloader on the other side of the map. 500 hit points left on Bolt. Oh, Nip misses, a huge miss, puts one in the wall, and that is going to cost him dearly as Penguin Mafia finally coming out ahead in the firefight. Nip making a retreat is not going to be able to land any more shells because he is clipping.
Although Drac Hero has settled his gun, he's going to try and take out Bolt Upright. Tanking Daka going in for that suicide run, maybe going for his last shot or a ram. And quick, who got that kill?
I'm not sure. Drac Hero in a good position, able to fire on all of these tanks in his 1390. But man, look at the efficiency out of the Penguin Mafia. They've got 5 tanks still alive, 3 of them being tier 8s, most of them with a lot of hit points left. Death Warmed Over is barely hanging in there. Red Base also under attack. That's forced Drac Hero to come back. He will stop the cap and deal with these 2 T1s via a little bit of ram action.
He will take out both those, although I was talking about it earlier. Watch those T1s. They are going to start a cap when this fight begins, and they did, which could have worked out, and it actually will split up the 2 remaining tanks, which between a 5100 and 1390 could actually have brought this back.
Caught out in the open, missing shots. He's been excellent all game long, but on Ruinberg, he comes up short, and it is now 1v3. Drac Hero versus the remainder. Now, here's the thing, guys. All Drac Hero has to do is make sure a cap doesn't happen. That's a tall order, but not an impossible one, and a draw here does mean a win for Game Over. So still an opportunity for some heroics out of this little 1390 driver.
It's always possible. Death Warmed Over is almost dead. Terrible X is less than a clip. Just keeping out of the way of Blaze Zero, but with 5 minutes left, probably not enough time.
A lot of time to work, and as long as Penguin Mafia is smart about how they position their tanks. Oh, no, and that's exactly what we have here. Drac Hero gets tracked. Pops that repair kit immediately, but he is in a bad way. Stuck between a wall and a hard tank. Blaze Zero cleans it up, and Penguin Mafia is on the board. They're down, but not out. Score is 1-2 as we move into our 5th and final map before the shootout.
I want to say something about that last series. I think it came down to impatience out of game over more so than anything. With a 416, you have to have that tank as a utility tank. It needs to be placed right. It's very brittle, gets penned everywhere, and breaks very fast. With only 1,100 hit points, you can't really do much with him. A lot of times, let's say on Ensk, we see him on the 5-6 line. He's the one that's just putting in shots, a great crossfire, a independent crossfire to the regular battle. On there, they brought the 416 all the way over to the Delta Village on the east side, and you saw it take a lot of damage. That was kind of obvious. That was going to happen regardless because you're in the same crossfire as all the other tanks. So having a 416 absorb a lot of hit points in the beginning stage, not a good position to have. I felt like if Game Over just stayed there and played it out normally, they would have had the HP advantage because you can't have that 416 showing itself at all, else it takes a lot of damage. They have technically an overmatch 4v3 with 1390s just running around all the place a little bit over. I really felt like they just pulled the trigger a little bit too fast, but they've won every single battle before that, so it kind of made a little bit of sense, but still impatience out of Game Over.
I couldn't agree more. We saw that battle unfold up at the northern center part of the map, and it was just too fast of a push on too strong of a position in not enough synchronicity, if that word even works in that sentence. The tanks are kind of streaming in one by one, single file marching onto the.
It was Gandorfo. Right? Gandorfo getting caught out right at the beginning of that fight, not able to put out really any damage. Probably looking at his post-game, you see that he doesn't get to do all that much damage at all before he goes down. Gandorfo gets to do 688.
Yeah, took 2 shots, maybe 1.
It's just
probably just 2.
It's just that's what happens when you see 1,000 or less damage out of 5100s. Just not quite getting it done.
There were 3 5100s on Game Over's team that did not deal more than 1,000 damage. So in the first game of the day, we had 3 5100s doing 1,200 plus damage. The fourth game of the day, we have 3 5100s, not a single one of them peaking over 1,000. That's going to be hard to win when your autoloaders are not putting out.
Well, we're going to see another map with autoloaders in just a minute. We're going to head over to Ensk after a short break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be seeing battle number 5 of Penguin Mafia versus Game Over. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. We're about to head into battle number 5 of the Penguin Mafia versus Game Over. We're going to be heading into Ensk, which we should hopefully see some 5100s by Game Over, maybe redeem themselves.
We are seeing 5100s on both sides in the pre-game lobby, so I think there's a very good chance, Randall, that that opportunity may present itself. And I don't know what to expect. Game Overs looked like the better team to me, pretty much throughout. But as we saw, Penguin Mafia is not bad in a brawl.
Penguin Mafia did pretty well. Their one time, although we are going to head into Ensk now, they're actually going to be bringing some serious, very surprising lineup, guys. Really very interesting to see. Let's actually head off into game battle number 5 of Game Over versus the Penguin Mafia. We need to talk about this lineup.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, Randall. We have, for Penguin Mafia, 4 AMX 5100s.
4. That's 4. That's an absurd number of 5100s to bring on a map like Ensk. No team does this.
Also rearing its head once again
is the Waffle Tiger.
Waffle Tiger.
And notice the gun. Take a look at that 150 mil. Now
it's a mini millimeters.
Yep. Now,
that's mini millimeters. There's a lot of millimeters.
It's a lot. Yes, it's a very big gun. That's the same kind of gun you can see on the E100, a tier 10, and it's just a disgusting cannon. It does fire heat, so we may see a shot fizzle, which will be very unfortunate, but be on the lookout for that.
More standard lineup from Game Over. We've got the 110, the IS-3, and then 3 5100s rounding it out, including Nip, who's been really a key player here on his team when he's performed well. Game Over has won when he has performed poorly. They have not done so hot. So we will have to wait and see. And already we have spots going down and shots ringing out, as it looks like Henrik Dante is leading the charge, and Terrible X has already taken some terrible damage, dropping down to 1,100 hit points and losing any sort of ability to control this 2-line.
Yeah, that really hurts the position of the Penguin Mafia. They're really turtled up. They're super turtled up in one courtyard. This is the D4 courtyard. It's a pretty common place you'll see teams kind of decide to defend, because you've got these keyhole positions great little keyhole positions. You got rocks looking one way. It's Blaze Zero's ready for the approach. You've got Bolt Upright also looking south. It's very easy to defend and very difficult to attack if covered properly. But just like we saw, Terrible X has taken some damage, so we've lost vision on an entire approach to this position.
And here's the thing, Game Over does not have to be aggressive at all. All they have to do is sit back and collect their win. The onus is actually on Penguin Mafia here. They're down 1-2. A loss here ends the series, and we're done. And if they win, we get to see a shootout, which, while very exciting, is also very much a bit of a coin flip or a dice roll. And you know, teams do not want to see their tournament hopes being reliant on that kind of a thing. Making note of the T1 positioning here, we've got Gigmaster overlooking the flag position, and Rafa Beta, as has been the case all series long, out in front. He's the eyes, as Blaze Zero is going to get lit up here by...
Tanking Daka is also lit as Death Warmed Over. Ooh, Death Warmed Over down to 396. 2 huge hits coming out from Tanking Daka, I believe, and Henrique Dante.
Yep, 110 and IS-3 both connecting and also taking some shots. And I got to say, man, the Penguin Mafia is choosing a damn strange approach, pushing into a hold-down IS-3 and a hold-down 110. I don't think that IS-3 can be pinned from the low ground.
It can, but the shot is so thin. It's millimeters thin to actually make that shot connect. But you've got a waffle here, and this thing, even with HE, can defeat a tank and hold down, but it's already almost dead. It can't take another solid hit from an IS-3.
Rafa Beta, you've been so good this whole time. Great spot, sees the push coming, and that will allow Game Over to respond to the position out of the Penguin Mafia.
Penguin Mafia now taking up the 5 and 6 line as members of Game Over do kind of take the north. Gandorfo ducks back into cover, recognizing that he might be walking into a crossfire, and yes, he was. But there goes Quick Death, Extreme able to take him down. No T1, where's the T1? Loose Change is in the south. Oh, actually, he's about to get on the cap. We're going to see cap pressure on Game Over just now. There is the cap pressure. That could be what Penguin Mafia needs to tie this up, take it to a shootout.
A little bit of a firefight unfolding in the middle of the map. Gigmaster is going to come and look for this T1 on the flag, so a T1 battle perhaps could determine the outcome of this game. Has not spotted yet his opponent. Where is that little T1? Where's Loose Change?
Terrible X's go down right at the beginning of this fight. Tanking Daka taking hits, but there, another Blaze Zero goes down to Nip, and this is a wonderful surround. Not able to break out. Rocks goes down, and now it will be next. Bolt Upright down to 393. 2 more solid hits, 63 and down. Death Warmed Over is the only tier 8 left. He is taken down. GG, Loose Change.
Gigmaster crushes the T1 fight as well. Beautiful play from Game Over. Some questionable decision-making there at the end from the Penguin Mafia. That said, I think the better team does advance here today with a score of 3-1. With 1 draw thrown in the mix, it is Game Over who will be returning to the WGLNA Season 3.
And taking a look at those 5100s, we asked right before this, will they redeem themselves? Did they redeem themselves? Ben.
I think it's safe. Look at the damage. It's insane damage output from, honestly, from the whole lineup there. There we go. We see the card. 2,200 damage on the 110. The IS-3 deals 1,600, and we see Gandorfo leading the charge for his teammates. Nip, ironically enough, is that 3 kills?
He's got
400 damage dealt. What are you doing, Nip?
You can't help it. Sometimes you're finishing off tanks, right? And you just get those hits on 63 health tanks. Kills your average damage.
But man, he's going to get Top Gun for the day. That's almost a certainty. Great play there from Nip. Andre, what did you see?
You know, Ben, you called it perfect. I mean, the engagements that was chosen by Penguin Mafia really was questionable, going out into, well, just staying defensive. I mean, you have to stay defensive once you've already done it. Once you're already pinned there, it's very difficult to actually break out, rotate somewhere, and then not be in some sort of crossfire. And they went into probably the worst crossfire area where you could have gone on Ensk. That being said, after that, it's all a formality. You lost so many hit points as it was. 1 more shot on your Waffles tank, and it's dead. Everything else, I mean, you're talking 5100s. Now, the thing with 5100s, it's really difficult to shoot IS-3s and 110s sometimes. I mean, you have to get really zeroed shots a lot of times, be very precise with where you're shooting. But when you only have 5100s for yourselves, they could shoot anywhere on that tank. It doesn't even matter. So it's actually faster shots a lot of times against the 5100s, even though you have that quick autoloader reload. If you aren't in like an open area where you're just unloading everything as it is, you're not going to be able to do what you need to do. HP sharing also comes into that. There's so many things, but the tank lineup, the strategy, and then the follow-up throughout the game, Game Over just was able to take them out and outclass their opponents.
5100 just not able. They just don't have that range. They don't have that range of capability.
I mean, you're giving up the 5-6 line. Everything just doesn't work out once you do 4 5100s and the Waffles tank.
Well, we can see that the Game Over can pick the better lineup and play it out just a little bit stronger. We're going to see the Penguin Mafia later this week in the qualifiers. They will be seeded after losing this. Every team that loses will be seeded into the qualifiers. You will see them on later this week. And Penguin Mafia is our first team to join the qualifiers. So congratulations to Game Over, and hopefully good luck to Penguin Mafia in the qualifiers. That does it for battle number 1. Battle number 2 will be No Limit versus Warplanes. We'll talk more about that after a short break. Don't go anywhere. Back. We're getting ready to go into our battle number 2 between No Limit and Warplanes, but we might have a little surprise for you guys. I think we might have Gigmaster on the line.
The one and only Gigmaster. Is there a Gigmaster in the house?
Yes.
Good to be back.
Hey, it's the Gigmaster. What's up,
How are you
Gigmaster?
guys?
Congratulations on, I suppose, requalifying for the league. You were at the cusp of being pushed down into the actual qualifiers, but you come out ahead here, and you got to be feeling pretty happy coming off that win.
Yeah. We've been training a lot to be back to the season 3. So let's see what's gonna happen now. But we're definitely way better now, and we are very confident that we're gonna be better positioned next time. So let's see what's gonna happen.
So no more humbleness right now, right? We're going to hear Gigmaster say we're going to slay these nerds and crush their souls.
Well, maybe, says Gigmaster with a smile. Gigmaster, you guys looked absolutely dominant on the first couple of maps, and then steps happened, and just kind of drew out. And then suddenly it looked like things were getting bad. It was starting to fall apart a little bit. On Ruinberg, something went wrong. What happened there?
Well, I think we had some miscommunication internally, and we made some mistakes. We missed some shots, but yeah, I think we were able to turn around very quick in the next map. So.
Yeah, I got to say, Insk was a pretty dominant showing. You took up a great position on that 1-2 line, and fortunately for you, Penguin Mafia, like lambs to slaughter, just kind of walked out into the firing line of that IS-3 and that 110. Was that your plan there? Were you trying to push him out onto that 1-2 line where you could?
Yes, that was the plan. When we saw all those 1500s on their team, so we decided to kind of push to the other side of the map and try to get them reloading. So yeah, that was the plan.
Well, it came together very nicely. Gigmaster, you guys will be rejoining us in Season 3. It starts up in January. Who's in your crosshairs? Which team do you most want to face in Season 3 of the WGL?
Well, we made a lot of friends. We have a lot of we know there's a lot of nice teams out there, and you know, let's see what's gonna happen. We really like to face pub stars. We would like to face, of course, Wargaming. So let's see what's gonna happen.
I think he's hiding the fact that pub stars were the guys who actually denied you guys entrance to our finals. You guys have to be a little bit sore about that.
Yeah, we were very disappointed with our fight with Nerve. So let's yeah, we had to turn around and you know, let's move forward.
Well, we are very excited to have you back in the league for Season 3, and I can't wait to see more great games out of you guys. Any final words before we say goodbye?
No, that's it. It's very nice to be back. Let's see, and we're gonna do our best to have our first Brazilian team now in the Season 3 in Vegas. So hopefully we'll be there this time.
All right, man. Congratulations, and we'll see you in January. That was Gigmaster of Game Over, showing us a big smile and a lot of confidence. Looking forward to Season 3.
That's right, and that picture quality was so good.
So crisp. It
I
was
know.
like you had a nice Logitech webcam or something.
Yep, we ship out those to all of our captains. Gigmaster finally getting his. We had some wonderful interviews with him on his Logitech webcam last season. This season he looked crisp as ever. Just handsome.
Yeah, well, That's
It's like we're seeing him in HD.
Mm.
That's what it is. I think I just saw him in HD, and man, he's a handsome dude.
Just all of our world tankers are just handsome people. We're just handsome professional gamers. This is how we roll.
That's how we roll.